Hello, everybody. It is 7:30. It is Monday, and that means it's time for a little learning. Take a look at these little yummy things on this plate here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them, but they are things that I am going to share with the people that are coming to the class tomorrow. I will be doing a class for River Falls Community Education, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I just wanted you to kind of see some things here. So right here we have a little bit of a date ball. Over here I have a little bitty Twix. It's kind of a spin on a Twix. There's a little shortbread crust, and then there's a little bit of a peanut butter like caramely layer, and then some chocolate. Over here, this is kind of like a peanut butter cup type of a thing where it's got a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit almond flour, and then a really yummy chocolate with a little sea salt on top. And this is a little awesome kind of a yummy shortbready like type cookie that has like a little thumbprint in there with a little bit of a raspberry jam. So what on earth am I up to, and why do I want to talk to you tonight? So first off, go Pack Go. Again, we got a little Monday Night Football action here, so I'm going to be jumping off here pretty soon so I can watch the game. But I wanted to take just a little bit of time to kind of share with you that I absolutely love holiday baking. And in fact, I don't know about you, but there are certain things that have just great, amazing memories from when I was little, certain things that people would make, and they never were a holiday without them. So what do you do about that when you're trying to eat a little bit of a cleaner diet? One of the sad things about some of the holiday baking that we have is it typically utilizes not only maybe some of the processed flours, but maybe some of the processed sugars. Those are pretty inflammatory, especially even when we're diving into some of the oils that might be inflammatory as well. You know, the canola oil, that really isn't oil. But with that can bring on digestive issues, maybe some blood sugar imbalances, as well as just overall dietary issues and inflammation in general. So how do you start to swap, and how do you start to change? Well, the things that I showed you are actually examples of some things that I have brought into my family. So we love peanut butter and chocolate. We love cookies. And I have started to experiment and try different things. I wanted to find things that were sweet, that provided a little bit of a really good flavor, and were easy to make. So some of the swap outs that I have, I like to, number one, always emphasize that I utilize recipes that have been developed. I've played a little bit in the different types of healthier alternative baking methods. I'm not exactly the best. I don't know about you, but sometimes I know my lane. I can read somebody's recipe, but I'm by no means a recipe developer. Why do I say that? Because you want to start somewhere. So I like to do clean baking searches and try to incorporate maybe some of the search terms for things that I want to eat things with, like maybe a chocolate peanut butter mix, and write healthy behind it when you do your search. So I was able to kind of dig in, and there are certain trends and certain swaps that typically happen. So for some of the processed flours, instead of the typical white flour that you're utilizing usually, you can find recipes that have coconut flour and almond flour. Those actually work very nicely when we're making things such as cookies, and they're actually kind of part of the things that I showed you earlier. Other options too are grass-fed beef, grass-fed butter, I apologize, coconut oil, ghee. Those are really good substitutes for baking, as opposed to seed oils. A lot of times, again, remember the canola oils, they're just not that really healthy for you and super inflammatory. Other things that I like to do are change the sweeteners. And so one of my favorite things to cook with is something called allulose, for like a granulated sugar. There's other ones that are out there. One happens to be called erythritol. I do tend to stay away from that one. That is also a synthetic thing. And it actually makes my tummy not feel very good. It might be a really great sugar when we're trying to not have spikes in sugar, but there's a lot of digestive upset that I've had a lot of people report to me as well. So that's one that I do tend to lean away from. But I also like to utilize natural sugars such as honey, maple syrup. They are my favorite. Dates. If you would have asked me a few years ago, would I be a big date eater? And I would have been like, not going to eat them. They are amazing, and they are really yummy and super caramely flavored. So I love working with dates. Other things, if you want to stay egg-free. Personally, I'm okay with eggs, but sometimes people just have reactions with eggs. So you can utilize flax seeds and chia seeds. There's ways that you can combine them, and you're going to get the same binding properties that you would get from an egg. Other things, chocolate. So I love chocolate. I'm a big chocolate connoisseur. And I used to be kind of the Hershey's girl, not gonna lie. That was kind of my go-to thing, and I was all over Nestle's Toll House chips. But if you take a look at the ingredients, you're gonna notice that there's a lot of extra things in there that are not actual food. That we're looking at a lot of different chemicals and preservatives. So I try to find chocolate that is 72% higher of the cacao. I'm looking for, if there is going to be some sort of a sugar in there, that maybe it's a cane sugar, ideally organic. I want cleaner products, and I'm not afraid to eat them, and I'm not afraid to use them when I'm baking. Other types of things that I always want you to remember too. Just be creative. Remember why you're baking. For me, I'm baking because I really just want to show the people that I'm making the food for that I love them, and that I am just trying to give them something to enjoy when they're eating, as well as something that might be a little bit of a healthier alternative. It's not about not eating it. It's about how we eat it. So when I'm going to eat a sweet, I really try to eat it after my meal. I try to do that so it avoids a blood sugar spike and dip. Other things, I just really try to make sure that I'm balancing it also with a really good protein and a fat. Again, it's not that we can't eat sugar, it's just maybe the how we eat it in a way that might be a little less inflammatory. I like to practice the 80-20 rule. We've talked about that before, where most of the time I'm eating an overall whole food diet, and I'm not going to feel bad if I'm going to eat something that might be a little maybe not as optimal. I'm just not going to eat a lot of it. I can stop at maybe 1-2 tops of my little desserts, and I try to space them out. And again, timing is real. Again, I love baking, and I love trying to give these gifts to the people that I love. And so when you do it from the heart, it actually makes it a little bit better, and it makes it more fun to eat. So if you want to learn more, again, I've just given you high little nuggets. I actually have a class I'm going to be teaching for River Falls Community Ed. It's going to be super fun, and it's tomorrow night at 6:30. So 6:30 to 7:30. I will post down below a link for you to register if you'd like to. I'd love to see you there. You will walk away with lots of information about swaps. I'll be kind of diving into a lot of deeper things on how do you convert sugars and what do you do. I'll also be kind of showing you different things as far as my favorite recipes that are not only tested, but my family approves of. I would love to see you there, and I will be having some samples, and you got to see them. I will be bringing them so you get to eat them. Otherwise, I want you to have a great night. Again, remember, it is Go Pack Go, so I need to go watch a football game. Hope you guys are doing great, and I will see you next week. Bye.